Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Excel Money. Let me take a quick moment to introduce myself to you. My name is William Hislop, but I go by Cal. I have an MBA from the United States, have lived and worked in the USA and Asia, and have been a university instructor since 2007 for the second-ranked university in South Korea. And this is one of many crucial lessons I have compiled for you to help you become more successful and happier in life. So today we're going to cover in Excel Money how to make your own pie chart for the expenses area of your personal budget. Now, the sections that we're going to cover today include how to create a chart for your expenses in Excel. Then we'll go into the details, which include chart design, which is fairly simple, and then another simple area, which is chart format. That's basically it. And then the next thing you know, voila, you're going to have your own pie chart with your expenses. Pretty simple stuff and pretty interesting too. So first of all, before we get into creating your own pie chart, do you have a budget? Now, some of you might have already seen my video from before on how to create your own personal budget from scratch. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you check it out. And I'll include a link to that particular video in the description of this video, but just in case you're looking for it, it looks like this on Skillshare. So if you have a budget, go ahead and get it out. I will also include a copy of the budget of the Excel file so you can download that and practice yourself, something you can do in the project area. Okay, so once you have an Excel file open, let's go a little further into pie charts. So you might be wondering, why is a pie chart actually useful to you? Well, a pie chart or a graph uses data to break down a whole into different parts that are each represented by a slice within a circle, just like this. When it comes to budgets, each slice of the pie graph represents a different category, as you can see over here on the right side, each category of expenses. Now we have category A, B, all the way down to G. Now, of course, these would be different for your personal categories and your personal expenses. Pie graph budgets are especially helpful for people who like to have a visual representation of their budget. Aren't a lot of us already visual learners? And this is true because it shows you an overall picture of your spending and can help you determine if you're paying too much in one category or another. Useful information, right? Reviewing your income expenses is important because a pie graph uses your financial data to create a picture. This data comes from your bills and monthly spending. And in order to create an accurate pie chart, you need to know how much money you're spending each month. This data is gathered and collected from all your monthly expenses. And using that data allows you to create a chart with accurate slices for each expense category. So, how do you create your own pie chart? Well, let's go ahead and get into it by opening up our Excel spreadsheet. So now we have the Excel spreadsheet that I created in a previous lesson, and you can download now if you want to test it out on here. Now, I've put in my own numbers here. These are not my numbers, they're just examples. So we have our income at the top, and then in the orange, which you're going to work with, we have your expenses or possible expenses for someone. Now, what categories do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 expense categories. Let's go over those. Those include, number 1, home expenses. Next, transportation. 3, health. 4, daily living. 5, entertainment. And finally, savings. And then down here we have the total expenses and then the difference between your income and your expenses, which would be your net income. Now, in order to make your graph, you can do this really anywhere, but to make it as simple as possible, we're going to do it right here. We're going to put in a couple simple categories. We're going to do basically 2 areas right here. let's go ahead and put something. It doesn't really matter because it's going to be the same thing. Let's put in a title for your particular chart. Let's say budget expenses. We're going to do that twice because on the second area here, this is going to actually turn out to be your chart title. So let's do it again. Budget expenses. Now, what categories do we have for budget expenses? Well, it's the 6 categories up here at the top. So let's see. Home expenses, then transportation, then health. So home expenses, transportation, then health. And what are our next 3? Daily living, entertainment, and savings. There we go. Entertainment and savings. Now, once again, it might be obvious that your particular categories and, of course, your numbers are going to be different than mine. Now, what are the actual amounts for this particular month that you've spent? Well, it's really easy to get them from the data at the top. For your home expenses, we want to get the total amount. So we're going to do an equal sign. Now we're going to go up to our total home expenses right here. Not this category. This is your budget. This is what you hope or expect to spend. The actual is what we're really looking for. So we're going to put this number here. We're going to click and then enter. It's pretty simple. There you go. It propagates down below. Let's do the same thing for the rest of these categories. So for transportation, we do the equal sign. Then we go up to transportation, click once, and then hit enter. Super simple. Let's do that for the rest of these categories. Equal, health, enter, equal, daily living, enter, equal, entertainment, enter, and finally equal, savings, enter. So now it's this area here where we're going to create our graph. It's from this data that we need to create a pie graph. And it's actually super simple. What we're going to do is we're just going to highlight all of that data. And then we're going to go over to here to insert. And you scroll over. You can do recommended charts if you want. Here you have a budget expense chart with a clustered column or a clustered bar graph, our famous pie graph, funnel, and Pareto. Now, you can do whatever you want, really, and I suggest you experiment a little bit. But for today's lesson, we're going to go with a pie chart. Now, you can do that here in the recommended area, or just come over here to where you can see the pie chart itself. You have more options here as well. You can do your regular old-fashioned pie chart, or maybe something a little more interesting like a 3D or a donut. Let's go ahead and start with a old-fashioned pie chart, and then maybe later we'll check out the other two. So click on one of those, and there you go. Check it out. Let's scroll it over here. Notice it's highlighted these areas here. This is your title. These are your categories, and these are the numbers. Here is your pie chart. So once again, look in our pie chart area. Budget expenses is the title. Down here, we have the colors and their corresponding categories. Now, it might not quite look the way you want it to, but don't worry. The next section, we're going to get into chart design and make it look a little bit better. So get ready for the next section, chart design. Okay, now you have your own pie chart within your personal budget. Fantastic. Now all we need to do now is two simple things. Number one, design it the way you want it, and then next, format it. So let's work on the design now. Here we are, what we've left over from the previous lesson. Now, what we want to do whenever you design or you format, what you want to do is just click on your pie chart, and then from here you're going to see up at the top a chart design tab and a format tab. Let's work first on chart design. Click on that and you have this ribbon. It's called a ribbon in Excel. So all of these choices up here. This is your chart design ribbon. Let's work from the left on over to the right. On the left, what you can do is choose your chart title, your data labels, and your legend. That's basically the main parts. So what that means is your title here, your, what do we have? Your data labels. There are no data labels here yet. And your legend. That's what we have at the bottom down here. So let's go back here again, and with chart title, you can have no title, which is not a good idea. You really should always have a title. Or you can put your title above your chart or centered. I don't know why you would do centered, because look what happens. It sort of gets in the way there. Let's just go back, make it simple. Chart title above chart. There we go, as usual. Now, we can go to data labels. Actually, at the moment, it has none, but we want to see it to make it easier. So we could have them in the center like this. Doesn't look that great. Or we can do them inside end, which is a little okay. Or with data labels, let's just try outside end. And that looks pretty good. Now play with it a little bit more with data labels. Try a few things, what works best for you, and go with that. But for today's lesson, let's stick with outside end. And then the third thing is your legend. Now, at the moment, it's at the bottom. If you want, you can put it on the top here, the left, the right, or no legend at all, whatever you want. Let's just see what it looks like on the right. All right, the right looks pretty good. You have a larger pie chart and everything else looks pretty clear here. Let's stick with this for the moment. All right, so once again, we have our pie chart. We've chosen our title, data labels, and legend. Now, you can do that in different ways throughout here, but this is just one of the easiest ways at the moment. The next little area here is a quick layout. Now, this sort of does the same thing, but all at once for you, within certain limitations. Now, you can sort of guess. Here we've got the title at the top and your data in the center with no legend. Here, we do have a legend. So that's title here, legend here, and data in the middle. And you can play with these others, and sort of obvious what you're going to get when you choose whichever one. But right now we're going with sort of this one here. We have our title at the top, our data in not the center but sort of the outside, isn't it? And our legend is on the right. What about color? You can change your colors. Now we have the first one here. It looks pretty good, right? Now maybe you want something slightly different. Boom. Now it looks sort of a monochrome with blue. If you want monochromatic, we can go all blue here. You can choose maybe shades of orange, shades of gray, and really all kinds of shades as you scroll down, even down to shades of green, which looks pretty good, sort of fits the whole Excel theme, doesn't it? Well, I happen to like colors, so I'm just going to go back with the default at the very top, and we have our blues, greens, and so on. Now, if you want to design it a little bit further, look at all the choices you have up here at the top. Let's just scroll through them quickly and see how they change. If you click on this one, it sort of puts it back in the middle. Look at our options as you just scroll across. It does all these other nice little designs for you. Scroll one to the next. Choose something that sort of fits you. Don't think too long about it. It's all a design choice, a personal choice. This one's a little odd. I think I'll skip that one. So I'm going to go back over here and go with this. Maybe not this. Let's just go where we were earlier. Now, it sort of jumbled things up, right? You can always go back and change it. So you just go right back up to your chart top here. Data labels. See, they're sort of in the center now. Let's go to data labels and put them on the outside end. Looks better. Play with things to see how they work for you best. Now, for whatever reason, if you don't like a pie chart, well, you could change your chart type. All kinds of choices here with column, line, or pie, of course, and a few more. Maybe take some time, play around with it, see if other charts like a column chart, bar chart work better for you. But today's lesson is pie chart, and pie charts are just so standard. So why not go with a multicolored pie chart? And that's basically it for chart design. So you've come up with something that sort of fits the design that you're looking for. Then once you've chosen your chart design, they're going to go over to the next tab, Format. But that's our next quick lesson. So go ahead and click on your third component to today's lesson, Chart Format, and we'll get started with that. Okay, now on to the third section of this particular lesson on pie charts in Excel on your own personal budget. Let's go into the chart format section. So once again, click on your actual pie chart, go up to the top, and instead of chart design, choose format, and look at the ribbon that we get here. It's a little different from the other one. Here you can play around with your text color, and a few other simple things. So starting here on the left, if you want to change a few things, let's say your chart title, you can click on that and play around with, let's say, the text. You can make it all black here as a few things change. Give another color here. It makes it blue. Instead of having to actually check on these particular areas here, you can do it manually. So let's say we want to play around with the legend. Instead of clicking here, you just come down here and click on the legend itself. And you can do that just as easily. There's more than one way to edit your chart in Excel, which makes it handy. So if we do click on legend here, we can do the same thing. Maybe make it all orange, and that doesn't really look great, but you do have that option. Let's go ahead and maybe give it a gold or sort of a gradient fill. It's really up to you. This is a little bit more like design. However, it's under the Format tab. Now let's take a look at our data area here, and let's take a look at the font. Instead of where it is, let's make it a nice dark black. Sort of gives it an outside sort of a border here if you want to give it a border. Or click on it again, and we can go down here and maybe give it a shadow, glow, soft edge. There's all kinds of things that you can do. It's really, there are a lot of options for you to play with. You're really probably not going to use most of them, but take a few minutes and play around with it, familiarize yourself with it, and then the next thing you know, you're going to feel more comfortable with Excel generally. Okay, so I'm going to come back here, click on my pie chart. Actually, I really don't like this sort of outline on the information here, so I am going to go back to that. Instead of choosing a color, I'll just go to no outline, and there we go, it's taken away. So now that I think about it a little bit more, what we could do, since it's come out to show that it has the title and the amount and the percentage here all together, we don't really need this legend. So I'm going to click on it right here, and I'm going to hit delete. Ba-ba, finished, it's done. So really, at the moment, we have all the information we need. Now here's one final trick. Let's say that you really don't like this information. You don't really need to look at it, right? So what you could do is click on your pie chart and just scroll up a little bit, and it hides all of that information. And to make this even a little bit better, here at the very bottom right, click, drag it out a little bit to be about the same size as your data up top, and voila, look how good this looks for your pie chart on your expenses in your own personal budget. So I think this looks pretty good. Let's take a real quick scroll of what we got. Our personal monthly budget, income at the top, expenses in the middle, summary at the bottom, and a visual representation of your budget expenses for you to better understand what you do on a month-to-month basis. Okay, I hope you found value in this particular lesson on pie charts, Excel, and your own personal budget. And if you did find value in this particular lesson, go ahead and share, and even better, why not click the follow button so you keep abreast of any new lessons that I post for Excel or otherwise here on Skillshare. All right, thanks again, and I hope to see you pretty soon.